Oh, say, Ted.
Yes, Bob?
You know, Ted, in a gathering of friends the other night, someone knowing I've done a turn or two here on Good News began asking me questions about Maxwell House coffee.
That's so? What, for instance?
Well, for one thing, about the freshness of Maxwell House and how important that freshness is.
Mm-hmm. I imagine you were able to answer that, Bob.
Well, I told them that Maxwell House was roaster fresh and that no coffee could be fresher than that.
Well, that's a very proper answer.
But say, Ted, just how much difference does coffee freshness really make?
All the difference in the world, Bob, in your cup of coffee. You see, freshness is essential for a really superior cup of coffee. Loss of freshness means loss of flavor. It's air that steals coffee freshness. And ground coffee, packed in ordinary containers where the air can get at it, loses as much as 45%, nearly half its flavor in only 9 days. Now, that's a lot of flavor to lose, flavor that'll never reach your coffee cup. Because of this, Maxwell House coffee is packed in an airtight super vacuum can, while still warm and fragrant from the roasting oven. All the air is removed from the can before the coffee is packed. No air can get in afterwards. This way you get your coffee not just days fresh with some of its flavor, but roaster fresh with all its flavor. Yes, Bob Taylor and friends, all the original full flavor and goodness of this superb blend is there. A final guarantee that your cup of Maxwell House coffee will be good to the last drop.
Another number you didn't expect to hear, Meredith Willson arrangement of Would You Like to Take a Walk? Once again, we turn to our dramatic department. The playlet, Thicker Than Water. The author, Milton Geiger. The cast, Robert Taylor as Dr. Bruce Vickery, Wright Kramer as his father. And the music, Meredith, please. Sitting in his office in a great metropolitan hospital is Dr. Stanley Vickery, chief of the surgical staff. Just now, Dr. Vickery is not so much occupied as deeply, solemnly preoccupied. As his long, pale fingers drum nervously on the desk top, there's a sudden sharp knock on the door, and at once dignity and hard pride return to the defeated eyes. His voice is firm again.
Come in, please.
Hello, Father.
I believe I've mentioned before that so long as you are identified with this hospital, we cease to be father and son. Am I clear, Dr. Vickery?
Yes, Dr. Vickery.
Sit down, please.
Thank you. I'd rather stand. You sent for me?
Yes. Are you familiar with the schedule of operations for tomorrow morning?
I know that I'm doing 3 routine appendectomies.
I told you that I dislike the word routine. It implies a too casual approach to surgery, which is never a casual matter. However, that is beside the point right now. I've arranged for Dr. McCauley to handle your schedule tomorrow.
I'm not operating tomorrow at all?
I didn't say that, Doctor. You will not perform your scheduled operation. We have another assignment for you.
Well, I'd like to know something about it before I...
Of course. The essential facts of the case are on this card. I have also in my desk a statement signed by the patient releasing the operating surgeon from any blame. I thought it desirable.
Release? Why should that be necessary?
I said desirable, Doctor.
Look at the card, please. Oh, no. No, Dr. Vickery, this isn't fair.
Indeed? Oh.
It's outrageous to ask any man to sacrifice his reputation under these circumstances.
I'm sorry you feel that way about it, because I'm going to have to be rather insistent that you attempt the operation.
Father, I will not attempt the operation.
Dr. Vickery, if you please.
Very well, I refuse to operate, Dr. Vickery.
And if I command it, as Chief of Staff of this hospital.
I still refuse. Chief of Staff. Always Chief of Staff.
Yes, and I demand that you recognize that authority.
And I refuse. Chief of Staff, to me, your son. I can't say you're flesh and blood. That's not blood that's running in your veins. It's ice water. I've always been doctor to you ever since my graduation from medical school. Before that, I was Mr. Vickery, and before that, Master Bruce.
You will moderate your speech, Doctor.
No, I won't. I never was a son to you. I never was Bruce or my boy or my son. When I tried to call you Dad and to climb into your lap, you pushed me away. No weakness, you always said. No weakness, Master Bruce. That was my reward for love. But I went on in spite of you. I made good. I amounted to something in medicine and surgery. And then you began to fear me. I was dangerous to you. You were afraid of me. Afraid I'd usurp your power, your greatness.
My son, you may not believe it, but when you accuse me of being cold, it is because I want you to be self-reliant. When I call you Dr. Vickery, it's because of a passion for discipline that I want my son to have. Please believe that. And believe that I trust you now as I trust no other creature on this earth.
You ask me now to try this operation that can't be successful. Stake my reputation on a case so desperate that you've asked the patient to sign a release. That poor man, whoever he is going to die, and you know it. And you want him to die under my knife. Well, I won't do it.
I am older, experienced. I know that he need not die.
Yes, then why don't you operate?
It takes a strong hand, a young one and a steady one. Believe in me and my experience.
That would be turning the other cheek with a vengeance, wouldn't it?
All right. You want to know why I want you to operate? Shall I tell you?
Certainly. Why?
Deep in my heart, I know that only one man can successfully perform this operation. And you are that man. And you are afraid. Very well, Doctor. Good day. And thank you for coming down.
Great, huh? I'll be on hand at 8 a.m. sharp, Dr. Vickery.
Good.
But I demand that you assist me.
I'll be there. Shall we go over the case in some detail? May I offer a suggestion, Doctor?
I'd be very grateful.
Well, the patient's outlook is good. He has an abundant faith in his surgeons.
Very flattering.
However, naturally enough, he does exhibit some pronounced nervous system symptoms. Excuse me a moment. I want a glass of water. Will you...
No, thanks. You're not any too steady yourself, are you, Doctor?
As I said, it takes a younger hand. I recommend that the patient be given one capsule of Nembutal at once. Then another tomorrow, shortly before he enters the operating room.
Thank you, Doctor. What else?
Excuse me a moment, sir. Miss Morrow, please.
Yes, Dr. Vickery.
Will you bring in some Nembutal, please?
At once, Doctor.
You'll be needing them, and the dispensary is slow in sending them up sometimes.
Here you are, Doctor.
Thank you.
Jane Casper.
Thank you, Miss Morrow. I am a bit unnerved, and mind if I have one of these myself?
Certainly not. They're yours. But I was under the impression they were for our patient.
Precisely. And one capsule at once.
Father, you mean
that the patient is to receive another capsule in the morning, that I shall be on hand promptly at the appointed hour, and that, needless to say again, I shall not be able to render the least assistance.
Why didn't you tell me it was you?
It's enough that you understand now. This is my faith in you. This is my father's love. We have a rendezvous tomorrow morning at 8. Until then, no weakness, mind.
And until then, goodbye, Father.